right. You are listening to Transparency and Merit. My name is JP. I'm here with Brian. Brian, what's going on?
Well, Joe, I got to be honest. I was on social media yesterday. I was more mad when I first heard it, but a person on Twitter and I were having a conversation, and they basically were gaslighting me, and it really kind of angered me to a degree.
So gaslighting is changing a person's perspective or perception of how they view. Why am I hearing an echo, man? What's going on here? Can you turn your speaker down a little bit?
Yeah, hold on 1 second while I do that. Let me do that. Let me go to system preferences.
Why don't you explain gaslighting a little bit?
All right. I'm going to turn the volume down, though, real quick here.
That worked. Whatever you did worked. So.
All right. It did already? All right, good. So, basically, gaslighting comes from the movie Gaslight.
I didn't know that. Well, that's interesting.
Basically, Charles Boyer he'd fiddle with the gaslight to fool with and I don't know the names of the characters, but he would fiddle with the gaslight to fool with her perceptions to make her look crazy. In modern days, people do it to basically fiddle with the perceptions to make their points and try to fool you. So it's not to make you maybe look crazy, but it's there to basically
question or doubt yourself.
Yeah, question or doubt yourself and doubt reality. And I feel
I get gaslighted all the time.
Yeah. I feel today the modern anti-racist left are the biggest gaslighters ever. I mean, and when you start talking about certain subjects, they either just completely ignore you or get really intellectually dishonest. And what the woman said was, let me see if I don't know if I want to pull up or kind of paraphrase what she said. She said, I was gaslighting you. I'm very biased. I'm a very biased person. And I think this person may be about the same age, perhaps a little bit older than I am. And it kind of angered me. And the left, I think to win, one of the things they have to do is they have to censor, because they don't want to, they know that if it becomes a full debate, what they're wanting is not really very palatable to many within the American mainstream. I mean, white privilege, that's not a palatable term. It's actually, I consider that term to be very objectifying.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you look...
Would you agree that manipulation and gaslighting are very similar concepts?
I believe so, yes. And I mean, it's a very, it basically stereotypes whites, and it also objectifies them for it's an objectification. It's an objectifying as a source of pain of other people, and it's like, it doesn't make diversity a good thing. It's just it's really negative, and I feel that we're being blamed. Whites right now are and particularly these whole riots have really gone to the point. I mean, the social justice warriors, they're just out in force. And the fact that, social media has censored so much that, because for a long time, there was a lot of pushback to these social justice warriors and this type of Marxist teaching. But what happened is that the powers that be said, oh no, this can't happen. We have to shut this stuff down. We have to shut it down under the guise of hate speech and under the guise of you can only speak about your rights, or your rights or your rights are only good, and your what do they call it? Your self-determination is only good if you are part of a protected class. And the only group that is not part of a protected class that I can gather are white people. So whites are the only group, and I think this is all over the world, that cannot have self-determination. And it's like, how is that fair?
Hey there, Mr. White. Angela, nice of you to be here.
But I wanted to draw a contrast, because the title of the show is called, what do I hear? I want to remember what the title of the show is called.
George Floyd and the
and Rotherham Grooming Gangs. So throughout England, I mean throughout Europe, there were protests for George Floyd, but I don't think, and there may have been a few protests for these London grooming gangs, but I don't see that many. And I'm just looking here. There were like several protests in London. Oh my God, the U.S. Embassy, they marched on it, and there were even riots. But what about the Rotherham? I mean, over 1,400 girls, 1997 to 2013, ages 11 to 16. Some of the beatings were rather brutal, and I don't even know if they even released the full report. Issues of ethnicity, Home Office study, mapping exercise, and report. Files removed. At the request, here sent the data of the Home Office of Bedfordshire. Okay. Reports. Let's take a look at the latest on this. Hearings, Jane inquiry. Let's take a look. Yeah, there was all sorts of stuff that was removed. And let me see here. I'm looking. God, it's a long, very long report. So, independent police complaints, commission inquiry, August 2000. Okay. So yeah, I mean, I've heard that they have hidden the reports, and they haven't released. They haven't released the full report, I believe, yet. I'm just curious if that's happened, but if that has, I think that we need to have protests on that, because, why would London or England and the rest of Europe protest one George Floyd and not protest these grooming gangs, these grooming rape gangs. It's just a question on why that hasn't happened. And some of the reports that I've read are rather grisly. And I got another tweet from that woman. Let me see here. Let me just take this off here. Folks, bear with me. Okay. I was almost interested in responding to that woman because there's a lot of things being said in Twitter, in the Twitterverse, about what's going on, and I asked her about this case, the London Grooming Gang case, and whites in South Africa, and she began to habitually answer my question with another question, and began to play a lot of games with me, until finally I just said to her, "It seems like you're gaslighting me." And she did come clean and admit that. So I do appreciate that. Although hearing that confession, even though I appreciate it on an intellectual level, on an emotional level, it really made my blood boil. Because for me, it confirms everything of the left that I believed. That they are, manipulators and deceivers. And when they are proven with facts, they will often just, instead of agreeing, they will double down. Now, maybe that's something that we all do. By the way, Joe, there's going to be another protest here where I live on Friday. I wonder if you're going to be able to make it down and filming these individuals.
Let's do it, man. We need to get some coverage, and why not Friday? Tomorrow? What time?
Yeah. I think around 11, 12 o'clock.
Let's call me when you get up, man. I'm telling you, if you don't call me, it won't happen.
All right, I'll give you several calls sexually.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, but I'm just looking here, and as I look at there's the ministry, the Labor. One of the reasons the Labor Party lost big in England is just due to the fact that was because of things like this, and the immigration rate was bringing, lots of trouble. And the Labor and the Labor movement really showed a lot of lack of empathy for what happened. And the left, which controls the mainstream media, still has lack of empathy for things that happen to whites. If it's done by people of color, that's cruel, they very much seem to lack any empathy, and they're all, because primarily they're about ideology first, and empathy does not come first. And that's my basic opinion on that. And I don't want to, Joe, I don't want to continue and just bloviate and basically repeat myself and just do a long list of things we may want to do in a different show. But I just wanted to point this out there, that this really goes to show really a lack of empathy by much of the progressive left in this country. By the way, if people were to go out and protest this, you could stand to get physically assaulted, not just in England, because England, Antifa's out there too, but also in America as well, which I'm thinking about doing. I'm thinking about holding a protest for the abuse victims of the Rotherham. So I'm thinking about doing that. Anything else to add, Joe, before we call this one?
Nope, that's it. Make sure you subscribe. You're doing a great job, people. You're checking out the show and you are subscribing, and we see you and we like it, and we need more of that. We want to build our community and make it large and have lots and lots of opinions and guests and the whole bit. So make sure you subscribe. Every one of you helps.
Absolutely. And guys, if you thought I missed anything or got anything incorrect, please correct me. I'm willing to change my opinion on this if it's with logic and reason. With emotion, not so much. Thank you.